I have connective tissue disorder, it's called Ehlers Danlos. I have type 3, which is hypermobile. It means that I can dislocate and sublux, meaning from putting my boots or my seatbelt on, I can dislocate my rib cage. My worst dislocation was my hip. When I stood talking to somebody, my leg popped out of socket. I fell to the ground, and as I fell, my leg twisted round, shot out my back, and my leg was backwards. And it just literally fell out. That was a complete life changer for me. Before I could run and do stuff with my children. After that, I wasn't sure if I was going to walk. Now I can walk. Generally, I walk with sticks. I've had a lot of surgery. I've had over 30 operations now. Quite a lot on my leg. I had to have my femur bone cut in 4 and bolted and plated, so I've got a lot of metalwork in my femur. I've had to have my elbow stabilised. During my elbow operation, I had a problem with my heart. They had to get my heart started and nearly lost me during surgery, so that was quite upsetting for my family. So yeah, it impacts me quite a lot. Always loved horses since I was 4 years old. I've just had a thing with horses. My mum's friend had a horse, and she took me one day to meet her horse, and I went with an apple. She sat me on the gate to go muck out her horses. When she came back, I was stood under the horse with my apple, like that, giving it my apple. And that was that. Horses. Always had horses in my life then. I couldn't be without one. In July the 17th to 19th, I'm doing a 50-mile trek across Dartmoor with an endurance rider called Vicky Bartlett, who's kindly planning my 50-mile trek. And I'm taking Mimosa, who's my beautiful giraffe, to hopefully raise £5,000 for the Cornwall Air Ambulance Trust. My doctor's been very supportive. He knows all about my ride. When I told him, he asked me if I could send him a link to what I was doing, so I sent him my GoFundMe link. He's been remarkably supportive. I have friends who've had children flown to Bristol Children's Hospital that have been involved in car crashes, that have heart defects and needed to get there. I'll always be thankful for that. When I walked up to Mimosa in her field, she'd never had anything done with her. She'd never been long-reined or broken, never had any bad experience. She'd never seen crutches, not had much handling. She'd been brushed and rugged and very well looked after, but she'd not, as they had any formal training. And I walked up to her with my sticks that most horses find quite scary, and she put her head into my arms, gave me a cuddle and just stared me into the eyes. And I thought, oh, I love you. You're so sweet. And I knew from that minute that we had a good bond. In 2016, I did a 13-mile sponsored ride to raise the money for a defibrillator for the Chiverton RDA Centre. And 9 miles in, I dislocated both my kneecaps. But not being defeatist, I decided to complete the ride because I knew if I didn't, we wouldn't get a defibrillator. It's excruciatingly painful, and I cried as my husband peeled me off the horse, and my kids helped me relocate both my legs. And my husband said, "You're never doing this again." So we're here 5 years later, and we are going to be doing it. I have had both my knees operated on since, but they have started popping a bit again recently. We are doing it over 3 days, which means 17 miles a day, and I can relocate any limbs at the end of each evening to be ready to go out the next day again. On my ride across Dartmoor, I'm going to be using several bits of kit. This is a bar rein. This one sits halfway up her neck, and as you can see, it's got a little bar, and that's what you use for steering. So you can ride with one arm, so that if I dislocate an arm or have a paralysed arm, I can still ride with one arm. And then the third set of reins, which I'll be taking in a bum bag in case I have no function in my hands at all. So I have to ride with my wrists or with my arms like that. It's taken me about 25 years to find another horse I've got a bond with like Mimi. So they come around very rarely to have a very strong bond like this. So she's just very, very special. She has a beautiful heart and a beautiful soul. And that's the most important thing when you're a para rider, to have that.